You've got into making maple syrup, you're addicted to it. You've caught the maple bug. Now, what's the right size evaporator, or what size unit do I need? Can I boil on a turkey cooker? Today, I'm going to help you answer some of those questions. May not be the right answer, but it's what I think will help you. So you got into making maple syrup, probably similar to I did, cooking over the open fire with a pot, that type of thing, and then you slowly graduated up, or you're still on the turkey cooker. Now, if you're using the turkey cooker, you're probably about 3 20-pound bottles of propane to a gallon of syrup, meaning you're somewhere in the 1 to 2 gallon an hour range that you're evaporating. So you've got a lot of time into it. You could be close to 3 10-hour days to make a gallon of syrup. Maybe that's right for you though. You're somewheres, you've got 5 to 25 taps. You can make a lot of syrup, you can have a lot of fun, but it gets expensive. If you're doing propane exchanges, they're somewheres around $25 for an exchange. So you're somewheres around $75 into that gallon of syrup. You're about what it would be if you go to the store and buy it, but you made it yourself, you probably had the kids helping, and you passed some time. It's still not a bad deal. We treat sap just like we treat milk. If it gets left out, it's going to spoil faster. So if the sap runs that day, we want to boil that day. Now I understand there's times when you're not going to be able to boil every day. Put the sap in a cool place, leave it in the woods, just collect it when you're going to boil it. That'll help. If it looks ugly and you wouldn't drink it, dump it. With the turkey cooker, all you really need is a stock pot of some size. The cooker on the bottom, there's somewhere around 75,000 to 50,000 BTU. And then 20-pound cylinders. You light the fire, fill it up. You probably want 4 to 6 inches in it, and just let it boil. You're still going to need defoamer, your batch boiling syrup. So you're going to make some pretty dark stuff because you just keep boiling and boiling until you get it to where it's all syrup all at once. It works. I started this way. You can make some great syrup. Not a big deal, but it's slow, time consuming, and at $25 for a propane exchange, that gets pretty expensive, and propane's still going up. So not a bad deal. 5 to 25 taps and you'll be boiling a lot. If you make 2 to 3 gallons of syrup a year, that's probably on the high end. The next step up is a 2-foot wide evaporator in most cases. They're either 3 to 4 foot in length, and they can either be a flat bottom pan with just one flat open pan. Similar to the turkey cooker, you're still going to batch boil. You just keep adding sap until it's all syrup all at once. And you generally have to finish it on the kitchen stove just because it's a little bit easier. Or you can go into the continuous flow design. Continuous flow means that the sap follows a path as it goes through. So it's flowing through the pans. As it evaporates off, that evaporation gets replaced by new sap coming in. So it keeps pushing the sap further ahead. Now, there's multiple designs out there that you can get. I sell liter evaporator equipment in H2O. The liter half pint, this is our entry level evaporator that will make you syrup. You can have a lot of fun, and the best part about it, it can be portable if you really need to. Liter half pint, 24 inches wide, 33 inches long. All welded 20 gauge stainless, all welded seams. When you get inside it, all the seams are going to be welded. You can see them on the front. Everything's welded so that there's no slip by of sap on the inside. Pay attention to that when you buy an evaporator. If you go out and you look and there's just spots where it's welded on the inside, or you can just see dots on the outside, that means it's not welded all the way. That means that sap is going to slip by that and you lose your gradient, meaning that as that sap keeps moving ahead and it gets more concentrated, a little bit of raw sap is going to slip by and it's going to change the way your pan boils. You're not going to make as much syrup. It's going to be harder. You get what you pay for. Trust me with this stuff. Having this all welded seam makes it to where you're going to make better syrup. Liter half pint comes in 2 versions on the short side. So short side meaning just the base of arch. So you can get it in the standard half pint flat pan with the dividers. Good for around 4 to 6 gallons an hour of water that it'll evaporate off. Meaning you're somewheres in the 5 to 35 taps is somewheres the neighborhood you're going to be in. You could boil once a week. You could boil every day. The second version of the half pint is the half pint supreme. That's what this pan is. What it is it's got flues in the bottom of the center partition that go down 4 inches. That means that there's more surface area in that center pan, which raises your gallons per hour. Now, you're going to be at 7 to 9 gallons an hour. Almost doubled by adding those flues. So you can almost double your taps. 15 to 60 taps, somewhere's in the neighborhood that you could do. The same thing, sap comes in, it goes back and forth through the channels, comes out as almost syrup. With the smaller evaporators, it's hard to make perfect syrup because your flows are never right. It's easier at the end of the night, pull off a gallon or 2, bring it inside, finish it on the stove. It comes up to a boil, it's syrup all at once, you shut it off, you've got syrup. All you have to do is filter it. There's 6 4-inch flues in the center of this pan. So when you look in, put your finger down in, all stainless steel, they drop down in, the fire actually goes around those, more surface area, more gallons per hour that you boil up. That's why we can almost double it. So the sap would start back here and it would go forward through this channel. And if you look in, there's a hole through it. The sap goes around, all welded in the joint. That means the sap can't slip around. The same on the next side over, everything's welded. Sap, so it comes down, goes over, back, and then down to the front of the third partition and comes off through the valve. You fill this up with sap. Then you adjust this valve here to where the sap just trickles out. And what you're doing is you're looking to match your evaporation for the sap that you put in. So you're replacing the sap that you evaporated off. You want to maintain a constant. In this pan, I'd probably run 1 inch to 1.5 inches of depth. That's about halfway up those windows. Now, if you run your pans dry, then you burn them because sugar burns, metal elongates when it gets hot because it doesn't have the liquid to cool it. So you can ruin your pan. So paying attention to what this valve is doing is real important. Now, there's other options that you can do to the half pint. Half pint evaporator start somewhere around $1,700. That would be a wood-fired arch and just the flat pan, no flues in it. That one gets you somewhere to 4 to 6 gallons an hour range to evaporate. There are some added costs with brick and insulation that do need to go inside, as well as some smokestack. Just know that. It can be as much as $400 to $500 depending on what you want to do on the inside. Wood-fired, there are other options of oil and gas, but generally with these, it's wood-fired that people do. If you're making syrup, you probably have a wood source that's available, meaning you've got woods that you want to clean up, a few trees that you want to take down here and there, some brush, and then there's always a buddy that's got a tree that he wants to get rid of. You take that wood, it's a free fuel source. So it just takes the sweat equity to put into it. You make your firewood, you make your syrup. So making syrup is a little bit on the cheaper side, even though there is the upfront cost of buying the bigger unit. So stepping up from the turkey cooker to the liter half pint, it's a big jump, but you're going to save a lot in fuel. You'll make it up pretty quick when you're spending $75 per gallon of syrup. With this, it doesn't take long. If you want to go to the Supreme pan with the wood-fired arch, you're about $2,100 to start. So it is a jump, but you've doubled your production for a few $100s more. If I was to buy one of these, it's definitely worth the extra value to buy the Supreme pan over the flat pan because of your increased capacity. With the half pint, there's a few options that you can add. Now, you can add the preheater pan. Preheater pan, about $300. I wouldn't do it without the preheater pan, either on the Supreme or on the flat pan, because it gives you a control. You've got the stack coming up on the back, puts a little bit of heat into that sap that's there, as well as the steam coming off of the pan will heat this sap up to where you're not shocking the pan and putting super cold in. It's not a lot, but it is an advantage, and it gives you an easy way to meter how much is going in rather than putting a cup in every couple minutes. This, you just control that valve and it keeps your pans at a constant level. A few years ago, Leader added on the half pint extension. What it is you take the back off the arch and you add a piece that goes out that allows you to put another half pint pan behind this one. You connect the two with some plumbing and you've just doubled your capacity. Half pint flat pan extended, you go to 8 to 10 gallons an hour. Half pint Supreme extended, you go to 12 to 14 gallons an hour. You can be into the extended with a pan starting around $1,200. Another add-on, probably in the $350 range, you can put a float in your half pint. Supreme or flat pan, it doesn't make a difference. You hook a line coming up with your sap, you need a head tank, some sort of an elevated source, and what it's going to do is you set the float and it shuts off when it gets to the desired level, so it only lets sap in when it needs it. Makes it to where you don't have to pay as close attention. You still really do. So, half pint standard without the extension, I wouldn't go with the float unless you really just want to make it easy for yourself. You go to the extended version, having the 2 pans, doubling up, spend the money on the float. It's going to make your life easier because you're boiling off a lot more sap an hour. It's going to be worth it. But you can step up to that later. It can be added without any other additions. It's just 2 screws to hook it up. So on the half pint, wood-fired arch, just simply a door. You put your wood in. There's already grates in there. You do have to brick this and add insulation inside. That does come with an added cost. And then you can adjust your damper down here for how much air you want to come in. Now with an evaporator, our whole goal is to boil as hot and as fast as we can. There is an option for a blower. I wouldn't boil sap without a blower on an evaporator. It makes that much of a difference. But you don't have to. Now people have also taken and put half pint on wheels. So you have it in your garage, you wheel it out for the day, you boil, you're done boiling, you can push it back inside. Or you build a sugar house. And they can be pretty crude too. They don't have to be perfect. Wood-fired, affordable way to get in. It's having like a little big evaporator. Way better than the turkey cooker. You're going to have a lot more fun with this. You can see the change in the color of the sap as it comes in. It'd be clear here, move over, and it would start turning brown, and it would be brown like syrup when it would come off. You can have a lot of fun with the neighborhood with a half pint evaporator. So you've got a half pint evaporator, you keep adding taps, you're looking to make more syrup. There's several options that allow you to move up in gallons per hour, starting with the Vermonter. Vermonter is a 2x4 pan, but it's all in one. It's got a flue pan on the back, and then it's got a small syrup pan on the front with dividers. Now, going to the Vermonter, you're at 22 to 25 gallons an hour. That's a lot of evaporation, and you've stepped up. All one pan, it's not 2 pieces. It does have a float built in, raised flue. So it's easy. Somewhere's around 50 to 150 taps. On the downside, they're about $4,700 to start. But you've made a huge jump from the half pint. Worth it? It's up to you. It depends on how much syrup you want to make. Moving up, you go to the 2x6 WSE. 75 to 250 taps, but you've gone up in price quite a bit. You're close to $7,000 for a WSE. 2-piece pan though. It's got a front pan and a rear pan, drop flues. Base liter Patriot, meaning 7-inch tall flues, 2x6. You're somewhere around $8,000 with the wood-fired arch. Now, it's not the same arch I have. Mine's on the high end and custom built. But you moved up. But you're also up around 250 to 500 taps. And you're going to be boiling off somewhere around 40 to 45 gallons an hour. You've made quite a jump. So you can do it, but it's got a price tag to go with it. Now, you want to jump up? Go to the max flue. Now you're going to jump up and be in the 60s for evaporation because you've gone to 11-inch tall flues. More surface area. That's how you're doing it. So you're taking out the majority of the water in that flue pan in the back. Now, Patriot, I like them. They're my preferred because it's a raised flue. You can go to American pans, which is drop flue, meaning it goes down below into the fire. The trouble with that, you can't get max flue. You're only at a 7-inch drop flue. So you can't get the gallons per hour that you can with the max flue. Max flue pans are on the high end though. You're going to spend for just the pans about $7,000. That's before you get the arch. So just know that you could spend another $2,000 on an arch. You could be close to $9,000 to $10,000 to get into a set of liter Patriot pans with a wood-fired arch. Comes down, both syrup pans are the same on the Patriots. Comes in, goes back and forth through your syrup pan, comes off as syrup. And you can make just about perfect syrup coming off of a 2x6 evaporator. I hope I've really given you some good options on what you can do when you make syrup, whether it's the turkey cooker, the half pint extended, or stepping up to the bigger rigs, the Patriot pans, the American pans, or even bigger. Now, I don't sell turkey cookers. I do sell kitchen pans though that would work for you and you can make syrup out of that. If you're gonna go that route, stick with the turkey cooker. You're gonna have far less money into it than buying a kitchen pan from me. Now, liter half pint, that's a great evaporator for someone getting into it. It's cost effective, it's not that big, you don't need a big building for it. They don't burn a lot of firewood. You can have a lot of fun on a liter half pint. It's worth the upfront money to get the Supreme pan though. Don't skimp out because then you're gonna want it forever because you're gonna add a few more taps. I guarantee it. Patriot pans, they're my personal favorite. If you get bigger and you want to go to Crossflow or Revolution pans, they don't make a difference really. I just prefer the raised flue Patriot pan setup. We can work with your budget. We can help you design what you need to help you make the best syrup you can. Anything we can do to help, my info's down on the bottom. Email, our website. I'd love to come out and take a look at your sugar house, see if we can make you make better syrup. And we can probably have some fun talking maple syrup. How many gallons an hour would it be if I put the turkey cooker and had it automatically go into the half pint extended, and then have it go into the Patriot pans? I think that's way too complicated.